Hi creatives, I am Dima and you're welcome to another interesting pattern drafting tutorial. On today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you how to cut this stylish backless crisscross flea dress that you can see on the screen. You can agree with me that this is so beautiful and you will not want to miss any part of this video because it is detailed. I'll be sharing with you how to avoid gape on the armhole, how to get your added fullness to form your flea, how to make your crisscross, and a whole lot that you will not want to miss. If this sounds like what you've been interested in, then let's get right into the video. So to start this, I started with a plain paper, just as you can see right here. So I'll go ahead and draw a line, a horizontal line, and that is the starting point and also my shoulder line. So after that, the next is to go ahead and start taking all the measurements. Now the next measurement I will take is the waistline, that is the shoulder to waist or the front half length. So after that, I will also take the bust level, which is what I'm taking now. So take each of them at least 2 points so that you get a perfect horizontal line. So go ahead and roll your lines, just as you can see right here. And I'll go ahead to label bust and also waist. So after doing that, I will go ahead and also do the basic shoulder, that is the shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I'll mark it at 2 points at least, and then roll a vertical line. After that is the basic neck of 3 by 3. If your client is a bit on the big side, you can use 3.5 by 3.5 and then go ahead and connect those 2 points just like this. I dropped my shoulder slope 1 inch and connected to the neckline just like this. So after that, I will come here and take bust measurement divided by 4, and I am going to take it at least 2 points and then rule my perfect vertical line just like this. So after that, I will go ahead and take the across chest level and go in by 3/4 inch there, and then I'll use this to draw my armhole measurement divided by 2. Yeah, so after that I will use my armhole curve rule to draw this. So now this is the waist measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch dart intake. So after that, I will go ahead and connect this to the side just like this. Now the next is to measure the front, the difference between the front and the back half length, which is the side bust dart, and I'll measure bust point to bust point, half of bust point to bust point, and I connected those 2 points. Where I'm shading will be going off or be taken out when the time is right. So now this is the dart intake of 1 inch. I marked bust to bust and then marked half inch on both sides, and then I'll be connecting this to the bust point just as you can see right here. So after doing this, I had to shed where will be going off at the end of this tutorial, or where extra fullness will be added, as the case may be. Just come with me, flow with me as I show you every bit of what it takes to do everything in this tutorial. So right now I had to take the hip level. So go ahead and mark the hip level just as you can see. It can be 8.5, it can be 8 depending on your client size, or go ahead and mark your measure your client's hip level. Okay, so what I marked there is hip measurement divided by 4, and I connected and made a sort of a line to the hem of the dress. Note that this dress can get to any length that you want. I hope this makes sense. So I had to draw a straight vertical line to connect these points and get it to the hem of the dress. Note that this dress can get to any length that you desire. So now this is me completing the dart intake. So I'm shading there. Now the next thing is to go ahead and draw our crisscross. So watch closely to see what I am going to do right now. So now the next thing to do is to determine the width, how wide you want your crisscross to be. So when you determine that width, you go ahead and draw. But what I did first was to go in a bit, like half inch from the side of the neck, before I measured out the width that I want the crisscross to have. I hope this makes sense. So after that, I will go ahead and make sure that these measurements are equal. So what I did was to go ahead and measure this, and it's perfect. Yes, I used freehand to mark it, but it gave me exact measurements all through. Now the next is to mark the second part of the crisscross, just as you can see me do. And now I'm taking the measurement. I didn't do freehand like I did the first time, so I took the measurement that's exactly the same with the first one that formed the first part of the crisscross, and this is how I connected it to the armhole. But there's something else I'm going to say as we progress in this tutorial. This armhole is going to drop more than this, but at this stage I did not drop it till I get to a particular stage, and that is when I noticed that in the pin picture the armhole needed to be dropped. But I'm going to explain everything to you to your perfect understanding. I hope this makes sense. So after this, at this stage, this is what I had, and this is exactly how to draw your crisscross. Whether you are dropping the armhole or not, this is the same. Okay, just flow with me and I will explain everything you need to know to your perfect understanding. So now the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut out. So after cutting out, I'm going to be extending the crisscross neckline. Pay close attention here so that you don't miss out on any detail. So you can see that I have added extra paper to this neckline extension, that is the crisscross area. So this is what I have at the stage, and I'll be extending this neckline by about 4 inches. Okay, this wheel is supposed to be exactly the same measurements with the back neckline. You're supposed to measure your back neckline just as you do when you are making a shawl collar, if you're familiar with shawl collar. So that is what you're going to do here, and ensure that the width of this neckline is exactly the same with the crisscross. So after the extension, you will cut out. Now this is not enough for what I want to extend it, how much I want to extend it, so I'll be adding extra paper. But after that, this is how this neckline is going to, curve and make up the completion of the crisscross neckline at the back. So pay close attention and don't jump any parts of this video. So this is the back neckline that I'm trying to measure now, and that is supposed to be exactly the same measurements with this extension. So you can see that I've not gotten the length of the back neckline, and I'll be adding extra paper to this to get me to the neck length of the back neckline plus 1 inch. Yes, plus 1 inch, because there will be a closure at that back neckline. We need that closure maybe to put hook or to put butting or anything to use and close up this neckline at the back of the neck. I hope this makes sense. So that is why you will add even extra 1 inch to whatever extension that you have there. Okay, so now this is what I have. I had to cut out, and you can see that the crisscross is taking shape but not fully formed, because there are other alterations that will be made. Now what I'm doing now is to put a contour guideline here. You can call it armhole tightening, but then this is a contour guideline to make sure that this armhole does not gape. And what I took in there is 3/4. It is very, very important to ensure that the armhole area, like not necessarily the armhole, this part of the cloth or the dress laps very well and is not exposed. It will just lap on the body and be well covered and not forming a sort of gap or along that part. So now this is me tracing from waist to the hem of this dress, because this is what we need for the back pattern, the back flea, right? So that is why I am tracing from the waist to the hem, because after now I'll be cutting the front pattern and we won't get this part of the pattern in full again. So that is why I had to trace it right now for the back. So I'll show you what we do when we get to that stage. So now at this stage, this is what I have, and I am going to continue with the alteration to form the flay and also to form the crisscross. Please pay close attention so that you don't miss this part, because it's very, very important. Now you can see how I cut that open from the hem of the dress to the bust point. I cut the side bust dart open as well. Now this is me closing up the side bust dart, and this closure opened up this first line that I cut. I will also close up this contour guideline, and that also opened up the line that I cut from the hem to the bust point even more. So when you have done this, you can go ahead and put more slash lines if you want to add extra fullness to this dress. But at this stage, I didn't think I needed extra fullness. I really feel like the fullness I have from the process so far is enough to form the exact fullness of the flea that I need to get exactly the pinned picture. So you can see that I measured the opening at the waist, and that is what I am writing down there. Yes, because I'll be needing it when I will be slashing and spreading the back. Okay, so it's also important to measure the hem area to know the fullness that is there. Okay, so right now this is what I have, and I will go ahead and cut out this pattern. So after closing up all of this is what I got. So I'll go ahead and pin this down and then cut it out. Now this will be forming the front pattern, but without the crisscross. After that, I will be showing you how to get your crisscross pattern. So now this is me measuring the hem, the opening at the hem. I measured the opening at the waist earlier and wrote it down. So this is me measuring the hem, and I am labeling exactly the excess that is opened on the hem and on the waist on that back pattern that I traced out earlier. I hope this makes sense. So I am marking exactly the length of the dress from that bust point to the hem so that I'll get an equal gown, like equal shaped gown along the hem. So this is me cutting out this. You can see how I'm cutting this part out. So that is exactly what you're going to do. So after cutting it out, we'll go ahead and trace the crisscross. That will be the next step. Notice that I notched the waist. I like putting notches on any landmark that I can put notch on, because it will be a guide while putting the dress together or even while altering your patterns. I hope this makes sense. Now after cutting out, this is what I have. I will go ahead and trace the crisscross. So you're going to pay close attention and see what I'm going to do here with the crisscross. It's exactly the same. The only thing I'm going to change at the end of this tutorial or towards the end is the dropping of the armhole. It's still the same process. The only difference is that I dropped the armhole a bit, like 2 inches dropping, but every other thing is the same. No difference. I hope this makes sense. So this is still the exact thing that you're going to do with your crisscross, even if the armhole is dropped more than the level that it is right now. So now I'm tracing the pattern. Watch closely to see how I am tracing this pattern. So follow exactly what you can see me do here and you will get a perfect pattern. So this is what I have. I will go ahead and cut it out just like this. And this is what is going to be completing our crisscross. So watch closely to see what I'll be doing with this. So you can see that this is exactly the same, and yeah, this is exactly what I have right now. You can see that it has formed the crisscross for this side. I'll just go ahead and stick it up. So after sticking it up, I will be tracing it. So you can use your tracing wheel to trace this out. For me, I am cutting it out because I won't be needing this pattern anymore. So when I cut this on opposite sides, it's going to give me the crisscross that I need for both sides of the front. I hope this makes sense. So that is what I just did now. This is the crisscross pattern. I'm going to place it on it like a facing while the extension goes round and closes at the back of the neck. I hope this is clear. So you can see what I have here. So I'm going to make another duplicate of this crisscross, just as you can see. Just go ahead and cut out exactly this pattern, and I'll be using it on that neckline. So watch closely to see what I am doing. So this is exactly how you do your crisscross when you want to get a crisscross. If you also want to have an extension that will be looped at the back, instead of that 1 inch I added at the back, just add extension to form a sort of lacing that you will loop at the back of the neck. I hope this makes sense. So it's just the same process. You just make the extension to be as long enough as possible so that it can form a lace up. So now having done this is what I have. I'll place this like this and place this other side like this, and you can see that I have formed the crisscross apparently. So this is what you're going to do. So it's placed. This is how it's going to be placed. Part of it will form the facing, while the rest of the part is going to go round and close at the back of the neck. Another way is to go ahead and extend this part that we lace up at the part of the back of the neck more, so that it forms a lacing like a belt at the back of the neck, if that is the kind of closure you want. Yes, here You can extend here more to form a sort of lacing or a belt that will be tied at the back of the neck. If you don't want to use hook or button for the back of the neck, you can use lace to do that. Like you can tie it like a belt, like where you tie your bow tie on your belts. I hope this makes sense. So after that, this is what I have. You can agree with me that this is a perfect flea dress. It's just that it's on a paper, so you cannot see the fall. Trust me, cut this unbiased grain on your flea fabric, on your fabric. Cut it on bias grain, cut it on cross grain, cut it on any green line, and it will give you flay of different falls. I hope this makes sense. So after doing this is what I had at the stage, and I was so pleased with the outcome. Trust me, I was very pleased with the outcome. So this is the front. I will go ahead and continue with the back pattern. So watch closely to see through the whole process. Now what I will do for the back is to go ahead and draw slash lines. Just as you can see, go ahead and measure the width of your slash line. Now this is for tutorial purpose, and I was already in a hurry. I had to just draw my slash lines and illustrate this fast, right? So go ahead and measure, take specific measurements for the width of your slash lines. So after that, I had to place paper on folds, just as you can see. Place my paper just as you can see here, and I will be slashing and spreading. So this is me slashing the paper. The next step is to go ahead and spread it. So spread as much as you want, but remember we took a measurement for how much spread we had at the waist and on the hem for the front, which I also wrote down on this back pattern. So we are going to be taking note of that, because the spread we'll have at the back will be slightly more than what we had in front. It can be 1 inch more, it can be 2 inches more. So if what we had on the waistline more spread is like 3 inches, you're going to make the total spread on the waistline for this back to be like 4 or 5 inches, because there is elastic at that back to ensure that there is a balance after the elastic has dragged the back, and also to ensure that you can wear the dress easily. I hope this makes sense. So now this is me pinning everything down. You can see that the spread is already passing the hem area, but I had to manage the paper. You can equally see that the spread is not equal, it is more on the hem. So my whole aim is, the whole idea is to ensure that the spread we have at the hem is at least 2 to 3 inches more than what we have in front, and also the spread we have on the waistline is about 2 to 3 inches more than what we have in front. That is the extra spread in front, what we measured when we were doing the front pattern. I hope this makes sense. So after that, I connected these points and I had to cut out. So do exactly what I'm doing right here and you will get a perfect outcome. So after cutting it out, I'll be patching up the side to make up the pattern. So I'll just stick paper here to gum this main pattern to this, to use it and make it up, because I'm done with the spreading. I won't be needing the pattern again. So what I'm looking for is a paper to join to the back part, to the second side of this back pattern, right, to make up the extra spread that we have there. So this is what I have, which I trimmed out. So this is the outcome, and I had to trim this excess, and this is what I have. So make sure you equalize everything. Of course, when you're cutting on fabric, you're going to take note of all of this and join fabric where you should appropriately. Always look at your grain lines while joining your fabric. I hope this makes sense. So after joining, this is what I have. And another thing I have to mention is, don't forget to add your seam allowances while cutting on fabric. You know that these patterns are seamless patterns, they do not have any seam allowance. So when you're cutting on your fabric, please put your seam allowance along the waistline, by the sides, and even on the hem of the dress. Even on the waistline that there will be elastic at the back, you're going to add at least 1 inch seam allowance along that part. Please do not forget. So what I'm doing now is just to use masking tape to form a sort of gather, which serves as the elastic dragging this back pattern together on the waist, because this back side will have elastic on the waistline. I hope this makes sense. So after that, this is how you're going to be placing it to the front pattern and stitching it by the sides. Now what I'm talking about is at this stage, as I'm putting up this back pattern on the front, I noticed that the belt that should come is supposed to, join at the end of the armhole. Now watch closely and you'll understand what I am, explaining. I'm just gumming the back to the front right now. And after sticking it all together, my attention now got to the armhole, because if you watch the pinned picture, you will notice that the crisscross continued to the back to form the armhole. I hope this makes sense. The crisscross continued to the back to form the lacing, not armhole. The crisscross continued to the back to form the lace up that we have at the back, yes, as belt. So this is the belt. I have cut out paper to make up the belt, and at this point I realized that I was supposed to drop this armhole. Yes, this armhole is supposed to be dropped so that the crisscross will be a continuation to the belt. I hope this makes sense. So it does not alter anything we have done so far. It's still the same thing. The only thing is that the armhole level is supposed to drop more by 2 inches at least, or even more. So don't bother about the armhole contouring. It does not affect it. The contour is the same even when we drop the armhole. So now I'm going to go ahead and drop this armhole and then show you how to do every bit of what I am going to do here to make this pattern perfect, because it has to come out perfect. So when you were drafting the first pattern, we were supposed to drop this armhole by at least 2.5 inches more to get exactly what we have in the pinned picture. So, and that means I'm going to connect this crisscross to that point, just as you can see me do. So I'll do the same thing for this second side. I'm going to connect the crisscross like this. So after connecting it, this is what I have, and I had to measure. So if you watch the pin picture, as the crisscross is coming down on the dress, it got wider. It got wider. Now this is how to pay attention to details while drafting pattern, and that is why pattern drafting is so good. Because imagine if this was on the direct fabric, and when you have already cut, you realize this, like, it's going to waste some fabric, definitely. So please, analyze your styles very well before you cut. That's the lesson you can learn from this. And again, always make your patterns, because if there is any omission, you can correct it on pattern. So you can see what I have here. It's exactly still the same. That's why I said everything we did is the same. We have taken the armhole contouring and all of that, and it's still the same. The only difference is that I dropped the armhole, and now we have a new crisscross line that connected through to connect to the lacing. So this is me tracing out the new crisscross. I hope this makes sense. I'm tracing it on a new paper. So this is me tracing it out. As you can see, I will go ahead and draw it out and then place it the way I placed this very one. So it's still the same. That's why I said everything is the same. It's just that I dropped the armhole. It's still the same process, everything is the same, just that I dropped the armhole. So this is me placing it up like this, so you can see that it's still the same. So this is me placing it the same like this. The only difference is that I dropped the armhole. So you're going to cut this same thing for the second half, second part of the crisscross, and complete it. So this is supposed to connect all through and then join the lacing by the side that will be laced up at the back. So this is how it's supposed to continue and connect to the back. So you can see what I have is supposed to connect to the belt at the back. Can you see? So it's supposed to connect to the belt at the back. It's not supposed to be high up while the belt is down, and no. So this is how it's supposed to connect, and you can agree with me that this is perfect at the stage. So you can see you lace it up like this, and yeah. So this is the perfect style. Are you going to try it out? Did you enjoy this tutorial? If you enjoyed this tutorial, give me a thumbs up, like, comment, share, and do not fail to subscribe and turn on your notification bell to be the first to know each time I upload my videos. Here on the channel, I share lots of pattern drafting and sewing tutorial videos that you will definitely be learning from. I also share sewing tips, and you will not regret being a part of this family. So do well to comment, feel free to ask questions, and I will be very willing to answer your questions. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for always stopping by to watch my videos. I do not take it for granted. I love you all, and of course I will see you in my next video. Bye.